What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive. And yes, what is this car? This hasn't been on the channel in a while. I'm about to change all that. I know I've been focused on other projects, other cars, but this has kind of been sitting in my garage. I drive it occasionally, and now it's time to get back into it because it's not done. Today, guys, I wanted to go over basically this LS build, and I just realized I haven't done like an in-depth tour of this car and kind of where it sits right now. So I'm going to start with that, and then we're going to move into what this car needs, because this car needs quite a bit for me to call it complete. And it's not big ticket items, but these are things that you know, just like little details here and there that I think like will really help make this car like all that it needs to be. So first, we're going to start with an overview of the car. I'm going to grab you, we're going to walk around the car, and then we're going to talk about the things that I need to fix after we go over the car. So let's dive in. Let's start with the basics. This is a 1995 Nissan 240SX that I purchased last year, and the guy I purchased it from already had some of the parts needed for this LS swap. Now, this is my fourth 240. I absolutely love these cars. I've talked about them so much in my channel. They're Legos. You can do whatever you want with them. I've done turbo ones, I've done Japanese engine swap ones, and this is my first LS build. I've always wanted to do it. So this is an LS1 out of a 2000 Chevrolet Camaro. And basically I went ahead and purchased the Sickie engine swap kit. And that comes with things like motor mounts, trans mounts, drive shafts, things of that nature. Kind of the major parts that get you going on this swap. I did it last year in my garage. Had some help from the guys at Turning Concepts because I wanted to do some head work and make sure everything was gone over before I stuck this thing in here. They also tuned the car. But it's basically making around like low to mid 300s horsepower and torque, which is, I think, perfect for this this chassis. Speaking of this chassis, this is one of the cleanest 240 chassis I've seen, and which is basically why I wanted to buy it. I wasn't really in the market for this car exactly, but when the deal sprung up, I had to go for it. So that's a little bit about the car. It has Anki RPF1 wheels. They're 17 by 9.5. I'll probably change those at some point, but I do like the way they look, and I'm not into, I appreciate drifting. I like drifting, but I'm not going to turn this into a drift car, so it doesn't have any kind of crazy stance. Kind of just prefer more grip type stuff. But the interior is unfortunately stripped out. The previous owner did that because he was going to turn this car into a track car. So it has a nice driver's seat, which is great, but it doesn't really have much else other than the dash. Now, that is one thing I am going to change, and we will get to that in a little bit. Focusing on the rear end, this has a COS two-way, which I just said I'm not big into drifting, but I got it super cheap, and I didn't want to be doing one-wheel peels with this LS. So I got a COS two-way in the back of this thing. So it hooks up really good, and it hooks up really good on acceleration and deacceleration, so which can be a little bit dicey at times. Like I said, the chassis is super clean. The drive shaft is a Drive Shaft Shops steel drive shaft. It came with the Sickie kit. And what else is there to say? I have an Innovate oil temperature and pressure gauge. Just keep an eye on the oil pressure. Everything else is pretty much stock in here, which is how I want to keep it. I want to keep this car basically a just fun street car. One of the other nice things that this car has is some decent coilovers. These are Feel coilovers, which are, you know, not the best coilovers. They're not like KWs or anything, but they're not terrible. They're not some eBay garbage. The car came with that when I bought it, and I just have sort of left that on here for now, and I think it'll be okay. So let's talk about what the car needs, because that's really the next step with this 240, and that's kind of the main thing I wanted to focus on. What this needs, primarily from my perspective, the first and foremost thing that I need to address is the fact that the speedo doesn't work. You can see the tach works, everything else works, all the other gauges work, but the speedo doesn't, which can make it a little dicey when you go out for a drive and you're getting on it and you really have no idea how fast you're going. Now I need to kind of figure out what the deal with that is, because I did kind of expect the speedo to be doing something, And when I say something, I mean, I know that the signals don't match, but I should still be getting speed. So I need to look into that and basically look into the wiring of the harness because I think that I should be getting some sort of signal. If I'm going 60, it might be showing like 30 or 40 or, vice versa, something like that. So I need to kind of figure that out. And then once I get the signal working, then I can focus on calibrating it so that that is the appropriate speed for how fast I am going. And there is this thing called the Dakota Digital. It's a little electronic box that basically intercepts the signal and you can adjust it. So I'm definitely gonna plan to go with that, but I have to do some troubleshooting first to figure out why I have no speedo at all. The next big thing that I think will really improve this car and really goes along with the idea that I want a fun, enjoyable street car, this isn't a track car, is the interior. I think this will be way better with an interior. So I've been piecing together slowly. It's really hard to find clean interiors for this stuff, but from a couple different people on the forums and Facebook and stuff, I did buy brand new carpet because every piece of carpet I could find was just trash. So I have new carpet. And then I also bought a bunch of body panels, or I should say interior trim panels for this car that should match pretty good. It's, like I said, guys, it's been kind of difficult to find clean stuff, and that's what's kind of been taking a long time with this build. But then that also comes to the next portion of what to do with this seat. As good as this seat is, I just don't like bucket seats in street cars that I just kind of want to enjoy. So I'm going to do something different, and that leads us to this. Teleporting now to my basement, here's what I have for the interior. Now you can see back here, starting in the back, I have stock S14 seats, which I acquired when I bought some interior trim pieces. But here are the GTST Skyline seats that I acquired. I was looking at some S14 seats, but people want a ton of money for those in clean condition. And these are actually like pretty similar to me, and they seem to me to match the rear seats pretty decently. But these are fairly comfy and also provide enough support that I think they'll be good, and I think they'll just like match the interior. Some of the other smaller things that need to get tidied up, and I'll take you in the car here, is this mess. Look at this. I've just been like running with an ECU chilling on my floor pan. Obviously not acceptable. I need to figure out a mounting solution for this to somehow mount it up here behind the glove box or something like that. The Sicky kit, this is just like the fuses and relays. I need to find a way to tidy this stuff up and clean it up. I've kind of been waiting to put in the interior before I got to that, but just general tidying of this kind of stuff. And then obviously my Innovate gauge there, kind of just chilling. Need to come up with a solution for that. Let's go back to the suspension for a moment, and let me zoom in here on this. See this top hat, how it was kind of like all cut up over here? The previous owner was planning to run a bunch of camber in this thing, and so he started to Dremel this out so he can basically run the top hat like even farther over. And to be honest, it's kind of roughly done. So I want to clean that up, and I want to do it on both sides, see how much camber we can get out of this. Once again, it's a street car. I'm not going to run anything crazy, but I also want to go with some different wheels and tires. These are some really cheap tires that just came on the car and are not suited for spirited driving. What are they even called? Veloza ZXV? Like, really? I've never heard of that. So I want to put a whole new wheel and tire setup, way stickier tires. I'd really like to run 275s all four corners, just a ton of meat, ton of grip, and I think that would be pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think on wheel choices. There's obviously so many to go with. I'm looking for something in the 17s. I don't really like 18s on these cars, and probably 9 to 9.5 inch wide, ideally, so I could fit as much tire under this thing as I can. Well guys, that's a basic rundown of my 240. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of kind of the items that I'm planning to do in the future, and if you think I should tweak them or something like that. Once again, this isn't supposed to be a track car, so if it was a track car, I would obviously put a cage in it, keep this seat, and kind of more strip the interior instead of putting more of the interior back in. But definitely enjoying the car. I just finished it last year and have driven it a few times this year, but really want to start driving it more once I get that interior and stuff in, because I think it'll just be like way better off. But there's definitely going to be a lot to come from this car on the channel. I've kind of neglected it as of late, but the Porsche video coming out next week you guys will really enjoy, but that will be the last one for a little while. And then I'm going to continue to work on a 335i, just minor tweaks here and there since it's my daily. But this is going to be the predominant car for the channel for a little while as I kind of clean some things up, and I'll be happy to show you guys how it ends up in the long run. But I appreciate you guys watching as always. Look forward to more from all these cars. We'll see you on the next episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive.